the Irish guy, and Nottingham Forest are diabolical. I'm sorry, but when a massive club like Forest were finally promoted back to the Premier League this summer, I think everyone was rooting for them, right? Honestly, those fans have been so starved of top flight football that I'm guessing last summer, most of them would have gladly bitten off their own toes of a guaranteed promotion, right? I mean, Christ, what, for the last 20 years, every single time they've heard the Match of the Day theme tune, to them, it must have been like listening to anything sang by Kylie Minogue. Honestly, it just sends a shiver down your spine. But honestly, Forest, what are you doing? 22 players bought and you come up with this? I mean, they say too many cooks spoil the broth. Yeah, no, this isn't just a case of, oh, I don't know, 9 chefs standing on each other's toes in the kitchen. No, this is the equivalent of them all choosing to spit in the soup with one of them in the corner just pissing on the steak. I mean, it's embarrassing. I mean, this is not Nottingham Forest from last season continuing their excellent run of form. No, because that team does not exist. This is just a new football team that we've never seen before. I mean, where is the identity gone? I mean, clearly rotting on the bottom of a toilet somewhere. I'm sorry, but you just had your new Forest project schooled by William. William! He's about 53 years old. At Arsenal, he looked like he was barely able to run. I mean, stick him on the treadmill and he'd have probably just melted into ice cream, right? But lads, let's just wake up. This is supposed to be Forest's big break, and they are ruining it. Oh, it's just sad to watch. It's a bit like having that one idiot brother, you know, someone with less intelligence than a traffic code, and someone who spent the last 20 years playing Crash Bandicoot on the couch whilst eating pizza and banana skins. But it's like his aunt pulling some strings to get an actual job interview at Morrison's, and then he just chooses to spend the chat just weeing in his seat and flinging poo at the walls. I mean, come on, Forest, do better. 5 minutes, if you're new here, try to hit 150,000 subscribers as soon as possible. It would mean the world to me. If you want to subscribe and join us on this journey, slap that big fat red button, you absolute legends. Anyway, back into the video. I've kept pretty quiet about their transfer business this summer, but I'm sorry, who buys 22 players on the go? No, you don't need 22. I mean, that's 2 teams. 2 teams of football. Just what? I mean, it's like going down the shops and coming home with 16 pints of milk. Unless you're planning on pouring them in the bath, or suddenly deciding to eat 9 bowls of Cocoa Puffs for tea, then that's just money down the drain. I mean, Nottingham Forest were brilliant last season. 23 wins from the final 39 championship games, and knocking both Arsenal and Leicester out of the FA Cup. You know, the 2 clubs who'd won the most recent FA Cups. They were outstanding. But that team is dead. It doesn't exist. It's stuffed in a shoebox and sitting in the foot of a bin. Forest just lost it up to Fulham, right? Yeah. Do you know how many of the players who started that match were also starting their glorious championship playoff final win in May? 4. Steve Cook, Scott McKenna, Ryan Yates, and Brennan Johnson. Everyone else is new. No, this cannot work. I mean, there's been so many initiation songs in the canteen this summer, and I'm guessing the place just resembled auditions for a school choir. Honestly, after the 7th rendition of Stand By Me, I'm guessing the canteen dinner ladies were probably tempted to go outside and walk into traffic. I mean, their owner is Evangelos Marinakis, someone who, yeah, looks like the Greek Tony Soprano. I mean, let's just forget about the fact he was involved in a Greek match-fixing scandal, shall we? Yes, he might look like someone who probably eats about 7 cheeseburgers for lunch, but he also looks like the type of scary businessman who probably has about 7 corpses in his fridge. I mean, he's like if you unmasked the mountain off Game of Thrones. But lads, yes, you're a very wealthy businessman, but what is it with the popular fad of billionaires deciding that one football club is not enough? We saw how messy things got when the Pozzo owners tried to balance Udinese and Watford. I mean, clearly 2 sister clubs who got their shopping list messed up one summer when the Italians tried to buy Matty Longstaff. Yeah, seeing a mini Ron Weasley with the footballing CD of a toothbrush that smells of weed, seeing him try to replace Rodrigo de Paul. Are you sure? Clearly, he was a wannabe signing for Watford. And similarly, with both Olympiacos and Forest, Marinakis this summer has signed a combined 42 footballers. 20 for Olympiacos and 22 for Forest. This man is out of control. I mean, don't compulsive shopaholics go to rehab? Somewhere where they probably have to shred their credit cards and spend a week dressed in a windbag whilst eating Weetabix with a fork? Instead, you're allowing this Greek Hagrid to buy nearly 50 players in one summer? No, that's not healthy. It's like choosing to go on 20 Tinder dates a week. I mean, honestly, Evangelos, he needs help. I mean, Sima Vrashko is a 30-year-old Croatian defender who just left Atletico Madrid for Olympiacos. Wouldn't he have been more use this season in the Premier League for Forest instead of, you know, trying to mark Andre Gray in Greece? I mean, lads, James Rodriguez now plays for Olympiacos. Next week, he's going to be forced to take apart a team coached by Alan Pardew, which again is like being told to play chess against a dog. Honestly, Marinakis why didn't you stuff him on Forest's shopping list and, put him in the money league instead of throwing nearly £50 million down the drain to buy Morgan Gibbs-White from Wolves? Someone who so far has had the creative impact of a damn cauliflower. Honestly, Jesse Lingard has the appetite of a melted Toblerone. Someone who's clearly just given up on the game, instead far too interested in becoming the next Bryce Hall. Honestly, give it a few years and he'll probably be involved in YouTube boxing too, just choosing to fight Anderson Gibb. Honestly, he should be the one banished to the Greek Super League. Lad, he's a blatant mercenary on a, £200,000 a week deal, and he can't even get in the Forest team. And the fact he's willing to sign just a 1-year contract, how was that allowed to happen? He's blatantly just here to collect the bag before leaving for another fat contract in 2023. Imagine if Brian Clough was the manager and you tried to get away with that. No, he'd probably run you down with his car. I'm gonna make a prediction. Remember how Lassana Diarra signed for Arsenal in the summer 2007, only to get impatient and quit for Portsmouth in January 2008? I think Forest are going to sell Lingard in January. After rotting on the sidelines for about 4 or 5 months, then yeah, they won't get much for him as he'll only have 6 months left in his deal. But I can see a mid-season switch to Besiktas for a transfer fee of £300,000? I mean, why not? You can go hang out with Nathan Redmond and Dele Alli. I mean, the three of them can go bowling and maybe tattoo SpongeBob SquarePants on their bellies. Right proper lads. Okay, to be fair, it is a bit harsh to just lump Redmond in with those two egomaniacs. I mean, he seems like a fairly decent chap. Although, I can't believe this was ever a headline.
Birmingham boss Chris Hughton has urged starlet Nathan Redmond to stay and not go to Man City.
Manchester City to play with David Silva. Redmond? He's always had the end product of a burnt sandcastle. But lads, the signings Forest have made, embarrassing. I'm sorry, but how can you keep 22 new players happy? Half of them have just been bought to rot on the bench. No! It's like Papi Cisse having, 17 wives. Sounds like a bigger headache than listening to a baby cry on a plane. Honestly, sitting down to watch Peter Pan and you've got all your wives fighting over your popcorn on the couch. No thanks. Listen, I don't want to throw Steve Cooper under a bus. Yes, he might look like someone who didn't get his first kiss until he was 24. I mean, yes, throw a wig at him and he might look like he's a sister of Cinderella. But he's one of the few former Swansea coaches who I actually rate. But he's getting close to the sack. I mean, earlier this week, I said he would be the next Liverpool boss after Jurgen Klopp. But at the rate he's going, he's going to be sacked before the World Cup. I mean, just look at Marinakis' sack rate in Greece. I mean, Carlos Corberan is his 18th coach since 2010. I mean, he has sacked obvious coaching talent like Ernesto Valverde, Bernardo Jardim, Marco Silva and Vitor Pereira. I mean, Jardim went on to win Monaco the French League and nearly reached the Champions League final. And he wasn't deemed good enough for Marinakis. So what chance does Cooper have? I mean, he'll soon be gone, and in his place, it'll be someone weirdly hipster like Roberto De Zerbi. I mean, remember him? Someone who clearly makes Chris Hamill weak at the knees. My lord, he's so excruciatingly hipster. And you need the right attitude. Dean Henderson. He clearly has the ego of some Love Island meathead. You can tell a lot about the company people keep. You just know he's out to nightclubs with Tommy Fury. I mean, Henderson, he's a bit like Joe Hart without the achievements. I mean, Joe Hart's brash bravado and Conor McGregor's swagger came after he won the Premier League. Not when he was at Birmingham on loan. I mean, there, he just kept his head down, was pretty meek, and honestly, just looked like he had the self-confidence of Peter Dinklage at Disneyland. Yeah, after about 5 hours being rejected for every draw at a coaster, by 6 o'clock he's probably just crying in the teacups. But at heart, he helped Birmingham City go on a club record 12-match unbeaten run in the Premier League, where they set a record for fielding the exact same starting 11 9 matches in a row. You see what I'm getting at? The manager needs a settled team. But does anyone really trust Cooper to know his best 11? Like Henderson, Joe Hart was on loan from a Manchester giant at newly promoted Birmingham City. This is Henderson's Birmingham. Hart kept 12 clean sheets that season. Fittingly, 2 of them were against Nottingham Forest in the FA Cup. And lads, Hart conceded just 19 goals in his first 20 games in goal for Birmingham. 19 goals conceded by the end of January. Henderson has conceded 17 in a month. I mean, he really thought he did something with that penalty save against Harry Kane, right? No. 17! I mean, you've had 2 home games against 2 teams who were in the championship last season, and you've picked the ball out of your net 6 times. Hart was keeping clean sheets against the likes of Chelsea. There are levels to this. Oh yeah, and Hart, while on loan, was not telling the press how it was criminal that he'd lost his place to Shay Given. No, he got his head down, impressed, and the following summer, luckily, had Arsenal queuing up to sign him. I mean, if Man City didn't want him anymore, he would have got to move to the Emirates. That's what Henderson needs, a brilliant season to impress. But Dean has to be careful, because how many goalkeepers get rescued after relegation? I mean, Aaron Ramsdale was lucky. Most of the highly rated goalies, once they go down, well, look what happens to them. Sam Johnstone and Jack Butland were once linked with moves to Chelsea and Manchester United. One relegation later, and they're currently number 2 and 3 at Crystal Palace. Relegation usually destroys a goalie's career with a sledgehammer. If Forest do go down, I reckon Henderson might get a weird move abroad. You know, just some foreign club who likes British goalies. I mean, Nice just bought Kasper Schmeichel, and weirdly, tried to buy Ben Foster too. I mean, don't get me started on Ben. He said this summer he turned down approaches from Atlanta United, Nice, and Newcastle to spend more time with his family. I'm sorry, what? No, it's Newcastle United. What are you doing, Ben? But yeah, next summer, Kasper will be 36, so maybe Henderson might get a £10 million switch to Nice. But what's more likely is probably just a cut price move to Rangers. Hart versus Henderson in the Glasgow derby. Oh, it's all just a bit sad. But who else have they bought? Renan Lodge, a 24-year-old left-back from Atletico Madrid. But I'm gonna say this, we've already seen Brazilian left-backs from Atletico Madrid in the Premier League. Anyone remember Philip Luis? What at Chelsea? He had the impact of lasagna wrapped in toilet paper. I'm just saying, Newcastle United chose to pass on Lodi to sign Matty Target instead. Someone about as exciting as a penguin's foot. I mean, their best summer they've made their signing has been Nico Williams from Liverpool as right wing back. But even he's a downgrade on Jet Spence. So really, you should have just begged Tottenham to give you on loan. A bit like how Fulham should have asked for Ryan Sessegnon back in 2019. Because clearly Spurs weren't using him much. I mean, Willy Bowling has just sulked his way out of Wolves. Clearly he's a high maintenance prima donna. And don't even get me started on the problems swirling around Serge Aurier, who is an Ivorian headache. I often compare newly promoted clubs to the refreshing, exciting Blackpool team of 2010. An exciting bunch of ambitious ballers, despite, the club having a wage bill smaller than the local sandwich shop. But I'm gonna compare Forest to another Ian Holloway team, Crystal Palace. When they came up in 2013 and immediately signed a record 17 players in one summer. I know it ended well when Tony Pulis came in and somehow kept them up, finishing in 11th. But lads, under Holloway, that was a complete mess. He completely took apart the team with one promotion and instead was rewarded with one win in their first 10 games. I mean, doesn't that look similar to Forest right now? And lads, here's a spooky stat that would probably force Steve Cooper to vomit up last night's shreddies. Holloway resigned after a home defeat to Fulham, where Palace, like Forest, threw away a lead under the floodlights on an autumn night. But that game was mostly remembered for that absolute wonder goal, that insane volley scored by Pashtim Kasami, who is a former Nottingham Forest boy who is about to join Olympiacos and become the 43rd signing of the summer for Evangelos Marinakis. Oh, that's all a bit spooky, right? Forest, you spent £150 million, and this is what you've got to show for it? Really, Forest? Really? Honestly, Nottingham Forest are an absolute mess. Anyway, let's go. What do you think? Let me know. What do you think? Alright, let me know if you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe as always. I'll talk to you in a while.